Welcome to Creatives Grab Coffee, the podcast on the business of video production.
Creatives Grab Coffee is hosted by Dario Nuri and Kirill Lazarov from Labs Productions. Our goal is to share knowledge and experiences from video production professionals around the world. Whether you're a freelancer looking to start your own business or a seasoned business owner aiming to scale your company, this is the show for you.
Join us as we develop a community of like-minded creatives looking to learn and help each other grow. Welcome to the business of video production. Welcome to Creatives Grab Coffee.
Before we get started with the show, let's go over today's sponsors.
Do you have a shoot in Toronto? Do you need crew or a strong production partner to help you with your project? Labs Productions is one of the top production companies in Toronto and your go-to video partner.
With our strong creative skills and extensive network, we can help you achieve your goal. Labs Productions is able to offer you production services, white label services, or finder fees for project handoffs.
Reach out to us on our website at lapsproductions.com to learn more.
My name is Miran. Welcome to Canada Film Equipment. We are a boutique rental house based in Toronto. We are here to help you guys out with all production sizes. Feel free to contact us to get a quote if you are a production house and you're looking for lighting, camera packages, or lighting and group fan packages. You can see our contact information in the link below. We are more than happy to help you guys out. Make sure you follow and subscribe to creativesgrabcoffee.com. Thank you.
Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Matt. Welcome to Audio Process. We are a boutique audio company doing location sound, sound design, post-sound, ADR, Foley. We service equipment. We do all your audio needs here in Toronto. We got you covered. Come on down, audioprocess.ca. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and all of the other internet things to creativesgrabcoffee.com. They'll be waiting for you. I'll be waiting for you, and we're all gonna have a real good time.
And now, let's begin the show.
Hey guys, welcome back. Today we have another exciting episode for you. We have Damian Fitzsimmons from Braveman Media. So Damien, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Right. So I guess we'll just start with the backstory. We'll get that out of the way, and then we can dive into some more exciting topics. Because I know everyone always gets annoyed by the backstories, but hey, we got to know who these people are, right? So
The 411.
Yeah.
All right, I will try and give you the cliff notes. Yeah. So I'm Damian Fitzsimmons. I'm the creative director and co-owner of Braveman Media. You might hear that I got an accent. I'm originally from Liverpool in the north of England. I moved back here about 15 years ago. I used to write for TV. I wrote for the BBC. It was cool. But I got to a point in my career there where if I wanted to advance, I had to get it onto one of the soap operas. And I don't watch soap operas. I hate soap operas. And I just was like, I'd rather just come back to the States where I had some roots. So I came back to the States about 15 years ago. I had this super romantic idea. I was going to write, the next Schindler's List in my apartment. And I had a day job in a cafe. Next thing you know, I'm detailing cars at the weekend because I've always broke, and I'm like, yeah, I got to do something else. So I was a very competent writer. I knew how to edit. I was a pretty good shooter, and so I set up a little company in my bedroom called Braveman Media. My business partner and head of production, Ian Lacroix, joined me about 2 years after I kicked it off. And yeah, that's where we're at today. I'm no longer a starving artist, which is great. And it's challenging because I still my love is still to write and direct. But I feel fortunate that I am in a industry that allows me to be creative every day. And so yeah, that's where we're at. So I guess that's the backstory. Ian and I are both really keen on film and making films. So we started out of my bedroom, and it's kind of funny, like we would have like these crazy insane deadlines and we would do double shifts. Ian's a bit of a night owl. So he had a key to my apartment. I would like edit till midnight, and then he would let himself in and then edit till 5 o'clock in the morning. We'd get our edits out. You know, people like, oh my God, these guys' turnarounds are insane. They're so good. And we originally, you know, again, this is 15 years ago. Someone would say, hey, we got $2,000. Can you do a video? We'd be so excited. Oh my God, we got $2,000. And we would like, you know, we would barely break even. And making no profit. We'd barely break even, but because we put everything into the video, it looked like it was a $5,000 video. So that's how we progressed, you know. And for the first 3 or 4 years, everything went back everything was into the production. So eventually, we got a studio, you know, and we got some great corporate clients. We had some really good commercial clients. And we're, you know, regularly doing much larger budget projects. Then we had an opportunity, 2016, we shot our first feature film. So a client of ours approached us wanting to do it was sort of a biopic, but it was fun. Him and a couple of buddies opened up a bar in Freeport, Long Island in 72. And at the time, a bar for young people was a new thing. So he wanted to tell that story, and he had these great anecdotes, and I'm like, oh, let's package this into a real movie, which is what we did. We packaged it into a real movie script, and then, again, leaning into my experience as a screenwriter. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a $500,000 budget. So, you know, and we made the decision to shoot in South Florida, to set it in South Florida. That was a budgetary consideration, but it was a period piece. It was set in 1972. And my best friend from high school is he's an Emmy Award-winning cinematographer called Colin Watkinson. If you've seen The Handmaid's Tale, Colin shot the first 2 seasons of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's about to go out to Thailand to shoot Alien.
The new Alien movie?
They're doing another Alien?
TV series with...
Oh, wow.
They're doing an Alien series, huh?
With the showrunner from Fargo, Noah, I forget his name, but the showrunners... yeah.
That's pretty
cool.
Anyway,
so Colin's like my best friend. We've known each other since we were 12. And we really became close friends around 16, 17. And we just dreamed of living in America. You know, that's just, you know, we these kids from Liverpool. So just as an, you know, so I said, hey, Colin, I'm shooting this movie. You know, I got a little budget. And he's like, send me the script. And I sent him a script. He's like, dude, I'll come and shoot it for you. I'm like, bro, we couldn't afford to pay for your sandwiches. And he's like, nah, come on, I'll take a few weeks off work. I'll tell my agents I want to do something different. So, and that was an experience of a lifetime, to shoot a feature film with your high school best friend who's still your, you know, just was fabulous.
What's the name of the feature called?
It's called Across the Rails. It's available on Amazon and iTunes.
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, check it out. So that was cool. You know, baptism by fire. We shot in the middle of the summer in South Florida. It was brutal. And, you know, we needed these apartment. We got a free apartment. We decked it out so it looked like it was from the 70s, but it had no AC. You've no idea. It was just like... but anyway, we got it done. It was really cool. We won a couple of awards. And actually, Colin... That was before he did Handmaid's Tale, so he actually got to play around with some stuff on our movie that eventually... I'm not taking any credit for Colin, but like the same lenses that we shot our movie on, they shot the first 2 seasons of Handmaid's Tale on these Canon K35s, those old lenses.
Oh, okay.
That's really cool.
I had a question about the feature. So, like, you were focusing mostly like on commercials and like corporate prior to that. So, what was the like transitioning to now doing a full feature? What was that like? What were some of like the difficulties you encountered, or some of the challenges going from, you know, just like, because corporate projects are fairly short, right, in comparison?
Yeah. I think that's a really good question. So up until that point, we'd just done corporate and commercials. But by that time we'd worked with larger crews. So I think that's a big one. Is, you know, a lot of times we still do shoots where it's like 2 or 3 of us, and that's great for a lot of corporate stuff, you know. And we did a TV commercial yesterday in the studio. There were only 5 of us. But you know, that kind of narrative, we had, I think, 35, 40 crew.
Wow.
And so there's a different level of logistics, you know. And we'd had some experience with that kind of logistics because we'd done a couple of bigger commercials. As long as you got the right people, then you're pretty good. Sometimes it's difficult because if you haven't done it before, you don't know who the right people are. You know, you have people saying they can do it. But we had it. By that time, in 2016, we were like 5 or 6 years into our, you know, entity as Braveman. So we had a really good infrastructure in South Florida. It was just reaching out to everyone we knew. And we had never done a real line item budget for something that big. So that was a big help, was to get a line producer to help us out. And at the time we thought that was a massive expense, but I'm glad we did it that one time so we could see where everything went, you know. And I was like, yeah, we'll shoot for 5 weeks and it'll be fine. And then you look at the line item project, like, no, you won't. So
Yeah, I was gonna say how you went about like how did you go about funding the feature and then producing it all together?
So the great thing was that the executive producer and the co-writer, it was his story. It's a guy called Mark Ford. He's now a good friend of mine. I just saw Mark last night, and you know, he made a lot of money. And this was actually his 3rd feature film. His wife told him he could make 1 more feature film. Because the other,
I wish I had that kind of money.
yeah, right, yeah. By his own admission, the first 2, I think the first one, when he showed it to his kids said, "Never show this to anyone ever." And I enjoyed the second one, and he's a great guy, but he had the money. He's like, "Look, I'm just gonna put the money up, and if we make the money back, great. If we don't, I'll live, but my wife won't let me do a 4th one." So
what a fantastic hobby. Just have so much money in your pocket. You're like, I'm just gonna make a feature just for myself.
Yeah. So, you know, and I really, like I say, Mark's a good friend of mine. We've become much closer friends over the years. He's a great guy. So that was awesome. And actually, funnily enough, the original budget was $350K, and when Mark came onto set on the first day, he's like, "Oh shit!" It's like, "This okay? Not this enough. Is how you?" He was just like, he was blown away by the level of professionalism. You know, I think he was expecting like 2 film students and 3 rolls of duct tape. You know.
For 350,000.
Yeah, well, you know, so anyway, so we ended up, he saw the potential, so we ended up putting another 150. So most of that went into post, or a lot of that went into post. And so we had a good run with that, and I'll be eternally grateful for Mark for giving us that opportunity. And what was great about that was then it took a long time to get everything. It took us so that was 2016. It took us like 4 years to edit it, and you know, because we begged, borrowing, stealing, and our editor is now a good friend of mine. That was awesome. We got put in touch with a woman called Julie Monroe. She's Oliver Stone's editor. So Julie Monroe was a friend of Colin's, just socially, not through the industry. And Colin said, "Hey, do you have any editors that you would recommend that want to cut their teeth on a feature? And she's like, yeah, you should call this guy Rich Molina. So I call this guy Rich Molina, and I'm like, hey, I'm Damian Fitzsimmons, we're doing this movie. He's like, yeah, send me the rushes. I sent him the rushes. He's like, yeah, there's a movie here, I'll help you do that. He's like, but I'm in Calgary right now. And I'm like, oh, cool, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, I'm working on this movie called The Revenant.
What?
I was like, what? Yeah, I was like, what? So Rich Molina was the first assistant editor on The Revenant, and but this is how you do stuff like that, you know. So you people like Rich want that top line credit, you know. So we had a lot of people that wanted to take that next level, that were willing to do it for less money, and what an experience, man. It was just fabulous. And then it really helped us because after the movie came out, we were approached by an agency that wanted to do a TV show set in St. Pete, Florida. And they wanted to do sort of 12 to 15 minute short films, but put together it was a feature film. And you know, there's some good production companies down here, but not a lot of them do long form, and we just, you know, so we did two TV shows in 21 and 22 called Life's Rewards, and they're on Amazon Prime, and that was awesome. So that you know, from starting off in my bedroom, you're just, you know, doing backflips because someone wants to pay me $2,000. We've come a long way, you know.
Oh, 100%. And like now, kind of like diving into more of the long form narrative content, like I can imagine what that must feel like. With that feature film, what was probably one or two big learning experiences that you took away from that have helped you kind of progress forward with future projects after?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing I learned was, you know, when the crew is that big and you've got that many personalities, you want to be friendly and you want to be, you know, nice, but you don't have to be everyone's friend, you know. And you know, I kind of just, that's my go-to, is to just, I want everyone to be happy, you know. But like, I would bump heads with some of the departments because I had a very clear vision of what I wanted, and they had a very clear vision of what they wanted. But it's like, it's my film, not your film. So it was a couple of times where I'm like, just do it this way, you know, and deal with it. You know, we're probably not going to get drinks ever. Which makes it, and that was a minor thing, but I think, you know, I just heard someone talking about parenting and saying how you're not there to be your kid's friend, you're there to be their parent, and there are going to be things that you do as a parent that your kid isn't going to like. It's just the way it is. So I don't want to make that sound like it's a huge thing. I mean, I think it's really important when you're the director or at any stage really, but when you're working with a team, you have to be nice, you have to be understanding, you have to listen, you have to be patient. So yeah, that was a learning curve for me.
Was that did that issue happen with like some of the like higher up personnel in the production?
No,
so like,
no. There was I don't want to. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but just there was a couple of so not with Colin, not with Mark, but like some of the departments, they had an idea of what it should look like, and I'm like, that's not what I wanted to look like, and then I, you know. So, but it was fine. So I think again, I don't want to be negative. I think of the. But you get some of the other lessons.
You're not being negative about it. You're basically saying that like you have a very clear vision about a certain project and you want to make sure you achieve it. And sometimes you just have to, like, there's no point in like discussing ideas if it's not in line with kind of what you're doing. You're not saying that you're being rude. You're just trying to get the project moving along.
I think actually, so maybe a better way of saying that, where is and what I learned from that, and what I think the biggest lesson I learn every time I do something is trust your gut, trust your instinct, you know, go with your instinct. It's because at the end of the day, you know, it's going to work most of the time. You know, you trust your instinct, you know something's a little off. There's a million things going on. If you just trust your instinct, then I think you get a better product. So I've learned that. I've learned to listen. So again, so that, you know, bumping heads with like the other creatives, because they have a vision and I have a vision. Well, I have to trust my instinct, you know. So trust my instinct, and then learning to breathe, man. Learning to just like, you know, it gets really, it gets completely frantic. So now there's 35, 40 people. You've got, you know, heads from each department, and they all want your attention, and they all want to know what color t-shirt is that, what color socks, you know, how many, you know, how many extras, but go. And certainly when I did the first one, it would occasionally just get really overwhelmed, and I'd like lose the ability to speak. I would just be like, be trying to say too many things at the same time. You just got to learn to like, okay, slow down. So
what did you learn on like the pre-production side of things specifically for the project? Because a lot of that sounds like part of it is from pre-production, but also things that might happen on set. And like with so many teams, so many decisions that you have to make, how did you learn to streamline or make the pre-production process easier for you moving forward with longer form content?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, because again, we had a line producer just do us a quick line item budget so we could figure this out. And he said, based on your budget, you can do, I think it was like we had 7 weeks of pre-pro. We were going to film for 20, I think we had 18 days actual filming, and then 2 days with skeleton crews, so 20 days. So based on that, we knew we could stretch it to about 7 weeks of pre-pro. But Ian and I also knew that that wasn't enough. So we did an extra 3 weeks where we didn't get paid at the very, very beginning. So, you know, which you can't keep doing, but it was our first feature film, and I'm glad we did that. But I think, and I'm sure you guys appreciate this, even on a corporate video, you know, most of it's about planning. Most of it's logistics. Yeah, most of it's logistics. If you figured out your logistics beforehand, it allows you to be, and figured out your creative beforehand, then when you get on set, it actually allows you to be more creative, you know? And especially when you're doing stuff when the budget's tight, if you know what you're going to do going into it, it's just so much easier when there's a change for whatever reason.
Well, you know how to adapt at that point.
It's much easier to adapt when you've planned it. So, you know, sort of to paraphrase, what is it? Willy Wonka said, "Genius is 9." Or was it Willy Wonka, or was it fucking someone? 99% inspiration.
Such a random person to quote Willy Wonka.
I know, Willy Wonka. I love it. That's a first on this podcast.
So Willy Wonka said, which is Roald Dahl, you know, genius is 99% in perspiration, 1% inspiration. But I think it might have actually been, Gene Wilder says that as Willy Wonka and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I think it might be Thomas Edison that said it first. So
I think it's Thomas Edison.
Yeah.
Maybe,
99, 99% perspiration, 1% inspiration. So filmmaking is sort of 99% logistics and 1%, you know, creativity.
Well, one of our mantras is that the production and the shooting should be the easiest part of the entire process because of all the prep work that
Exactly.
we have done going into that project, because like we were discussing, if something unexpected does happen on the day of, which happens no matter what, whether it's something small or something big, because you've done the necessary creative and prep work, you know how to adapt. You know, like we can all adapt to any situation, but knowing how to adapt for that specific project is what will make you stand out as a business and stand out with your clients going forward.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, just plan, and be aware of your environment. I'm in South Florida in the summertime into particular. It's sunny and bright and beautiful in the morning. It rains in the afternoon, and then it clears up around dusk. So but still to this day, we in the summer we plan our shoots around knowing that it's going to rain in the afternoon. So, and plus the light's better in the morning anyway. So we'll shoot all our exteriors in the morning. Plan to shoot interiors when it's raining in the afternoon. There's one scene in the movie, where I was like, I wanted a scene where the guys were in the rain. But, you know, we didn't have money for a rain machine, but I knew it was going to rain one afternoon. So we sort of had this one plan, that we were all on standby. And as soon as it rained, we'd stop whatever we were doing and we'd shoot this other scene. And we did that. We ended up getting that scene.
Nice.
You know, the guys towards the end.
Oh no, don't spoil.
Okay.
He's about to spoil the whole movie for us.
Yeah. But you know what was super cool about that was then when we did the 2 TV shows, when stuff came up, I took all of that experience, and we had one issue in the second series of the TV show Life's Rewards. We're about to shoot a motorcycle scene, and we had, you know, we booked the talent, and we had the doubles to ride the motorbikes, and the doubles turned up because the actors don't ride motorbikes, you know. So the doubles turned up, and there had been a miscommunication, and both of the doubles were like, "Oh, I thought I was riding on the back of the motorbike. I don't know how to ride a motorbike." So. So.
How did you adapt that?
Well, I don't know what I would have done in the feature film exactly, but I just knew that I was just like, I said, everyone stop, let me grab a coffee, let me sit down, just let me think about it. So it's like, just give me 10 minutes. So I just sat down and then just started playing all the scenarios around in my head. So the guy that's supposed to be riding it is an African-American, really talented actor called Jared Wolford. So Jared doesn't ride a motorbike, you know. And then the woman that was going to be... No, he was riding pillion. That was kind of the joke, that his friend is this sort of 70-year-old woman who's kind of a rebel. She's supposed to be riding the motorbike, and Jared's supposed to be on the back. And... you know, we figured it out. So the guy that delivered the motorbike, his name is Aaron, and he's like this, he looks nothing like the old woman, but we're like, you know, and he's got a big beard.
Put a wig on him.
Oh
Just
God,
a big buff old lady with a wig.
Oh my God, bro.
And well, he's got a beard too. How did you get rid of the beard? You asked him to shave it?
Shoot from the back.
So, well, fortunately, the old lady was wearing a full face visor, but Jared was wearing like it was sort of a, I keep tipping my hat to Easy Rider, and that's that Stars and Stripes helmet, but so it's an open face, and Jared's black, you know what I mean? So it's like whoever sits on the back, like is and it turned out that one of our other extras was like had a motorbike license, was comfortable to be on the back of the bike, and we made sure that, you know, insurance, everything else is covered before you throw anyone on a motorbike.
Yep.
Aaron, who delivered the motorbike to us, was obviously, so we had Aaron, and what we did is, it was just crazy. So we borrowed someone else's leather jacket to throw on Aaron, so it looked like the leather jacket from the old lady. He's now got a full visor. We just shot everything wide or from behind.
Yeah.
And then
low angle.
and then low angle. And then we used an African-American double so that we could, from the wide, he's got an open face visor. So you see that the guy is African-American, and then, but just figuring out shoes, and there was probably about 10 variables, and I just knew if I sat down and had quiet for 10 minutes, I would figure it out. And I figured it out, but
I hope you put that in the commentary.
in the bonus DVD disc.
Yeah. So when we do the larger projects, when you're gonna, you guys know, we don't think anything of shooting 14 hours a day, or at least working 14 hours a day. We have really tried not to shoot longer than 12 hours. I just don't think it works,
Mm-hmm.
But we're all used to very long days. But when you do long form, it's a cumulative. You're doing that for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. So I always have somewhere written on a post-it note on my laptop or on a wall that says, remember to breathe. Remember to just every once in a while, we got this.
I can't imagine that. That's wild. Just doing Dario and I have had numerous shoot days in a row, but usually there have been separate projects. Maybe
not
one
5
day.
weeks. Not 5 weeks in a row.
No,
Yeah.
I think what was the longest? I think the longest we did was maybe 9 days in a row, 10 days
9
in a
days.
row. Yeah, because it was it was corporate based. Oh wait, no. Well, in a row, but we strategically chose the weekends off so we can have a break. But doing we did Monday to Friday for 2.5 weeks. So it was about 10, 11. It was actually 13 shoot days, practically one after the other. Otherwise, if we didn't have those weekends, I think we would have lost our minds after.
Yeah, I know. I totally feel that, and yeah, we always at least had, I don't know, when we did the TV show, actually I think we worked longer hours on the TV show than the movie, and it was for longer, but you make sure to have at least one day off every 7 days. Well,
Yeah.
we were doing 1.5 days off every, so we'd shoot for 5 days, and generally we'd spend Saturday, we'd do a half day pre-pro for the next week. We'd already done most of our pre-pro.
Right.
And then on Sunday, we'd have a production meeting at 6 o'clock. So the whole of most of Saturday afternoon, Sunday, try and take off, recharge.
How did you handle the fact that you were going to be away for 5 weeks? And how did you handle the fact that, you had, I'm assuming you had other corporate clients as well, right? So how were you juggling both the movie and your regular corporate load?
It's see you guys.
It's a really good question for any business, especially for what we do, if you have the opportunity to do something creative, maybe the budget isn't quite as big, but it feeds your passion. You might want to take that, but when that's over, you better have stuff in the pipeline. Ian, my head of production, on the movie, he lived off Red Bull,
How many a day?
Dude, I would
case.
turn up at 7 a.m., 6:30 a.m. on set, and Ian's already on his second monster. You know,
How much of the project's budget went to his Red Bull addiction?
yeah, a lot. Uh,
$5,000.
so we're always looking at how we manage that. And actually, this is a good cautionary tale for you guys. So the movie, we kind of we managed to just kind of navigate that. We had a couple of big corporate clients. We were still doing corporate work the whole time through the movie, and Ian, God love him, was finishing up and then doing 2 hours working with our offshore teams to make sure that we had stuff going on. When we did the 2 TV shows, we didn't do as good a job, and so it's a cautionary tale here. We finished the last TV show in everything sent off. I think that would be June 2022, and it was awesome. We'd done. So COVID was 2020. We did just all corporate. We do 2D animations. So we had an amazing year in 2020. Because we had a lot of clients that the only thing that they could do was animation. So we just like rolling it out. So we bizarrely had this amazing year in 2020. At the end of 2020, we got the TV show. We went straight into the TV show. And creatively, it was, it's just what I got into the business for, is to kind of do this stuff, Then we finished that. We had a bunch of corporate clients. We did that for a couple of weeks and then a couple of months, and then we went straight into pre-production on the next TV show. So you got all this money coming in. You're really busy. You're being super creative. And I made the mistake of thinking that there's this concept of the flywheel. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the concept of flywheel. Okay, well, a flywheel, you know what a flywheel is? A flywheel is you spin a flywheel, and at a certain stage, it has so much momentum that it pretty much
keeps
so
going.
Imagine this heavy wheel that's on an axle, and you try to spin it, and it's kind of slow because it's heavy. But the faster it gets, the easier it is to spin.
Right.
Yeah. And so at some stage, it just needs the lightest of touches and the flywheel spins. So business is, you can think of your business on one level as this flywheel. And the flywheel in this aspect is your sales, your marketing, your networking, keeping an eye on your cash flow. All of these things keep this sort of allegorical flywheel running. So, but it's not a real flywheel, you know what I mean? So in the second season of the TV show, we got all this money coming in. We're working really hard. So it feels like the flywheel is spinning, and actually it wasn't. The flywheel was slowing down.
Oh, I see.
And we finished up in summer 2022. And, Ian and I finally had, like, oh, okay, cool. We take a little, we took a couple of days off, and it's like, okay, cool. Let's see what's going on. Let's look at our pipeline. And there was nothing in the pipeline. Like, I mean, nothing. Like, we had nothing in the pipeline. And one of our big corporate clients, this is another thing that happens often. One of our biggest corporate clients, like literally, that was May, and in June they laid off 2,000 people. And they're a multinational company. They laid off 2,000 people and took all outside content creation and brought it inside. So they were 25% of our revenue. We lost them overnight.
That's right.
There's nothing in the pipeline. And even if there was anything in the pipeline, I don't know what it is for you guys, but if we've been talking to a client, they're interested in doing a corporate video, we might need to follow up with them. We consider that pipeline, So they might be in the pipeline for 2 or 3 months before they want a proposal off us. They get in touch, hey, we want a job, but we don't need it till November, whatever. So it could be 2 or 3 months before that job becomes a real job, you know?
Right.
So if your pipeline is empty, then you've basically got no work. In our case, you got no work for the next 2 or 3 months. So
That actually
massive
brings me
lesson there.
That actually brings me to a question where, because you were doing all of these long form pieces of content, you were basically unavailable for such a long period of
Yeah.
time. Did your pipeline diminish because maybe some of your current clients needed work during that time, but you had to turn them away? And because of that, they went somewhere else and maybe they just kind of went that way. Did you find that you lost some clients for that?
So more so, I think I had stopped networking, right? Like, we had COVID, so I am just naturally sociable, gregarious. Love like meeting my clients, love catching up with them, grabbing a coffee, see what they're up to, and I just used to do that organically. I just do it because I like my clients that I work for, and want to see what's going on. But COVID, that didn't happen. I go into these TV shows and I just stopped doing it, but I had never thought that what I was doing was part of my business, and it was in May 22 or June 2022, we sort of stepped back and said, okay, why is pipeline empty? What is it? And it was, pipeline was empty because I hadn't been doing my networking. So I hadn't been reaching out to past clients. So past clients, seeing that we're doing these TV shows, don't know that we still do commercials and corporate.
Yeah.
We had got to a point where I think, and we talked about it. We knew we were at the point where we needed strategic sales and marketing. We'd grown to a point where we'd grown organically, and at some stage you have to kind of pivot, but we'd been so busy we just kind of like ignored sort of sales and marketing because we're on this TV show, it's great, we got all this money coming in, we got a couple of corporate clients, and that stuff just keeps coming in. So and yeah, that stuff is super important, and we talk about it a lot. And anyway, we're doing great, but it took, I would say, the flywheel still isn't where it should be, but it's taking a lot less effort to keep that flywheel going. But I went from just like sort of organically networking to deliberately networking, and there's a process. And I have a goal to reach out to X number of people every week, make sure that I am meeting in person at least 2 to 3 people a week, and also change my strategy. I no longer go and have a coffee with a client thinking I'm going to get a job. I'm more like, hey, is there anything I can do for you? What's going on? How's it going? And I think it's a much healthier way to go about stuff. So networking,
you're organic when you network like that, because you're not going in there searching for work from a me perspective. You're there to kind of like, like you're paying attention to your clients, you're seeing how they're doing, what you can potentially do to help them. Doesn't necessarily have to be like, I always try to tell my clients as well, like, let me know if there's something I can do to help you. I'm actually curious as to how that networking has yielded, because you're clearly putting a lot of time and effort to meet with people. I'm assuming in person, right?
But to go back a second, it's organic that's an organic way to generate sales.
Right.
That's organic. But it's not organic in that it's not like, oh, hey, maybe I'll grab no, I have a process.
Okay.
I have a set number of people I'm going to reach out to every week. Out of the set number of people that I reach out to in an email or a text, I'm going to have a coffee or maybe dinner with 1 or 2 people a week, That's a process, you know. That's not organic. That's not like, that's in my
Right.
calendar, you know. So, and so in that respect, it's not organic. And now I forgot the second part of your question. So,
What was I asking? It was basically like how is that yielded in terms of results, like going forward, because you're putting a lot of time and effort to do that, right?
so but
Versus
you've gone,
inbound.
yeah. So, okay. So, and then I mean, and again, I think 2023, the end of 2022, 2023 was tough for a lot of us. Although, I mean, most of the work that we do is corporate, or it's like lower end commercials. So the actors strike isn't physically affecting our shoots, but it has such a knock-on effect, and the writers strike, it had such a knock-on effect. So I think everyone
How
had,
so?
so okay, so if the people that would regularly do larger commercials with SAG actors, or larger TV shows with you know, WGA writers are not doing that work anymore. You know, these are huge crews, you know, 50, 60 people, makeup artists, gaffers, electricians, you know, etc., etc. So these people, you know, were out of work for a whole year. So if you're a gaffer, you probably do a little shooting on the side. So maybe now you're shooting on the sides, and so now suddenly there's way more people out there going after the same kind of work, you know. So, and I think, you know, at the end of 2022 as well, marketing budgets got much smaller with the threat. There was you know, the threat of a recession, and all of this stuff sort of affects the bottom line, you know. So in the past, you know, when we first started, we were very happy-go-lucky. We were still happy-go-lucky, but like, work would come to us, you know. The other thing that happens, and this happened, so I started my career as a grip in New York City, like in the 90s, when we were still shooting film. So, and I was a freelance grip, you know, and you would get a call on a Tuesday night for a music video on a Wednesday morning. I'm in, bro. See you Wednesday morning. Because you took that job on Wednesday morning, the DP's like, hey, I got a job on Friday. You free? Yeah, I'm free. So a lot of times the job you're on can lead to the next job. So when we were doing the long form, we're not having the same kind of opportunities. You know, like we just shot a commercial yesterday. We shot a commercial yesterday. The client brought a friend of theirs, and they're like, oh, you do video? And we're like, yeah. And they're like, come on, I want you guys to come and meet. So we'll see. You know, there's an opportunity. Those kind of opportunities, I think, tend to happen more when you're doing smaller jobs, one after the other, you know?
Yeah. Well, because you wrap them up faster than doing these longer projects. When you're working on one long project, whether it's corporate or narrative, you're dealing with the one the one client or the same set of people for a longer period of time. If you dip your toes into 5 different projects, you're dipping your toes into 5 different networks, 5 different potential leads who have 5 different networks of their own, of people that could potentially need work. And like, word of mouth and reference outreach is always going to be a big factor in our industry, because like there is obviously inbound and leads, and there's also ways to kind of go and generate and meet with other people, but that's the starting point, right? You want to build a relationship with someone, you want to be recommended, because when you get recommended to someone, that is the biggest sign off as to why someone should hire you. You know, it's like a vetting process. It's like when you're trying to find new crew, you go to the people that you know and say, hey, do you know another editor? Do you know another shooter? And most of our most trustworthy crew have come from recommendations from other people that we have worked with, not from randoms. It is really hard to find random people out of nowhere that could get recommended. And it's usually like recommendations are always like a little bit of a, it's like, okay, we're good. I can trust this person. You know, they've already vouched for them.
And just it doesn't work for crew. It works for clients and new jobs as well.
Yeah,
you know, if you do a great job. Again, we did these are some television spots we're doing for a company called Zendu. We did their first spots. We had a great time with them. They really liked what we did. You know, we busted our asses for them. So we just did their second spots. And again, now they brought a friend of theirs who has a completely different company. And, you know, you can't get a better recommendation than that, you know. And so that's why I think that networking is so important.
What are you doing on the... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, good. That's fine. That's fine.
I was just wondering, because you mentioned the networking aspect, and you previously also mentioned that you wanted to focus more on marketing. Are you doing anything on the marketing end?
Yeah, we are, and I honestly, we're still trying to figure that out. But I'll run you through that. You know, I was listening to one of your shows, and you were talking about how our industry is unique. Yeah. I don't think our industry is unique. I used to think our industry was unique. So I'm going to, a little aside if you guys don't mind. So
Go ahead.
I want to say it was just before the movie. No, it was after the movie. After we did the movie, and we were doing really good, you know. So we'd been in business for about 8 years. This is all shit I learned afterwards. I didn't know this. So Ian, my head of production, very good friend of mine, does our finances, and he does the logistics. You know, I'm the creative one. Ian does logistics. But anyway, so Ian had always been our business guy, but it's like it's my company too. And I had an epiphany like 7 years into running a business that I was a business owner, and I'd never thought of myself as a business owner before. And I've heard you guys talking about this stuff, you know. And a friend of mine recommended the entrepreneurial organization. It's called EO. And they have an accelerator program for any small business that is doing $250,000 or more a year. You can be part of their accelerator program. And it's sort of it's mostly an educational resource, and they help you to scale up. So I joined it 7 years ago, and it's one of the best things I ever did. And then I realized that was one of the first things they told me, is like, businesses are all the same. Stop saying you're unique. You're not unique, you know.
Yep.
You have a product or a service, yeah. You know, you need to sell the product or a service. You need to manage your cash, and you need to manage your people, you know. So that was an eye-opener for me. And it's just like, that was a real eye-opener for me. And then it made me, that these guys make you read business books. I never read a business book in my life, you know. And if you guys read Michael Gerber's The E-Myth.
Yeah.
So that basically the E-Myth is, you know, you're a filmmaker. You want to be a filmmaker, so you start a business to be a filmmaker. But as soon as you start a business, you're no longer a filmmaker. You are a business owner who does films, you know. Yeah. So all that to say, so you're asking about sales and marketing, you know, and as I joined this organization and watched other entrepreneurs see how they go about it, I more and more understood the importance of once you've started a business, your product is already pretty good, or you wouldn't have started the business in the first place, you know. And I spent the first 5 years of our business just making the product better and better and better and better and better, you know. I didn't have to do that. It was already good, you know. So, and again, we didn't have to do sales and marketing because everything came organically. But now, as we want to scale, as we want to grow, we understand the importance of sales and marketing. So, that's in all aspects. So doing this with you guys is part of that. It's part of our bigger, it's part of the bigger bigger picture, so the umbrella picture. It's like, get your name out there, meet like-minded individuals. You know, I love what you guys are doing. That like now, if someone calls you in, and they need a crew in Boston, you've got the guys in Boston. You know what I mean? Yeah. So in the same way that if I had something in Toronto, probably first guys I'm going to call are you guys. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. And you know, and again, but I'd also say, you know, if you've got something down here, I don't need to be the guy that does it. But like, you now know me, and if you need resources, I will give you the resources. You know, I'll just say, well, reach out to these people. You know.
Yeah, and we're inviting like all sorts of different types of video production companies that come on as well. Yeah. Like you focus a lot like on much bigger stuff, right? So for someone that's working on like a commercial, for example, or like higher level, higher budget stuff, like you would probably be like the you'd be like the perfect guy for that. Yeah, so that's why we're trying to find like multiple different types.
Variety.
Yeah, I like
just
that.
As there is variety.
Yeah. So anyway, we, you know, strategy is big. So we, as an outfit, my core team, there are 4 of us, is our core team. We expand and contract depending on what the job. We have a couple of offshore animation teams. We have a whole slew of people that we work with on shoots, and we have about 4 or 5 part-time editors, depending when, you know, what's going on. The core team is 4 of us, and we have a whole rhythm. So we meet every day at 12:30. We went remote after the pandemic, and it's still working for us, so we're staying remote. We meet every day at 12:30 for a 15-minute huddle. You know, we talk about what our North Star is. Every day we say our North Star is. So I'm
give us an example of that. Like, what do you mean by?
Well, we have one North Star. So that's our it's sometimes they call it a BHAG, your big, hairy, audacious goal.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like fucking shoot for the moon, bro. You know what I mean? So our North Star, every day we start our huddle with our North Star is to win a fucking Palm d'Or, right? We drop the F-bomb. So like we want to be critically and commercially successful filmmakers. So that's our North Star. We start there, and then there's 4 of us, and it takes 10-15 minutes. We just catch up, make sure we're okay, and then we all go do our different ways. Friday mornings at 11 we meet for an hour and a half. It's called an L10. It's a level 10 meeting. So it's called an L10 because at the end of the meeting you rate it from 0 to 10. You know.
Okay.
And once you get dialed in, you should be scoring 8. You should be scoring at least an 8. Don't always score it. And there's a specific agenda. So we get into that meeting. We talk about good news, you know, personally, and then we talk about good news in business. And then if our clients have said anything nice about us or not nice about us, you know, we'll talk about that. Then we'll look at our issue list, you know, what's going on. So big issues at the moment is you know, how do I keep my network going when I'm on a 7-day shoot? You know, how do we do sales and marketing? So we look at our issue list. We'll pick 2 issues, and we spend about an hour seeing if we can identify it. And it's called IDS: identify, discuss, and solve. You know. Mm-hmm. So, and that's super helpful. And then once a quarter, we meet for a full day, and we plan out the next 90 days. So right now we've been planning out like how do we have a sales and marketing strategy. So long way to answer your question. So we understand that in a broader sense, visibility is very important. So when you guys reached out to us, we were like, we see this as an opportunity, you know. I listened to the podcast. I like the podcast. I'm like, oh, fuck, I want to be on it anyway. I think it's cool. I like what you guys are doing, you know, and that's enough for me, you know. But it's also, this has now increased my visibility slightly, you know. So we look at networking events, you know, and again, it's a process. So I'm tasked, and it's not a lot. I'm tasked with hitting 4 networking events a month. A month? No, a quarter. That's fucking easy. So I'm going to a networking event on Friday. Someone invited me. It'll be cool. But I can also say, yes, that's one of my networking events. I'll have a good time. I'm no longer in there going, oh, I got to get our fucking business cards. Fuck that. Just go and have a good time. Enjoy it. Say hi to some people. Doesn't matter, you know. So, you know, podcast networking events. Then we look at our newsletter. We do a newsletter at least once a quarter. We're looking at kicking off our blog posts again. All of this stuff is sort of organic, sort of marketing. This is our brand, you know. This is Braveman, and then we've now looking at different sales funnels. So we never did Google ads, you know. And I've got a good friend of mine who has a video production company in town. He shoots mostly photography, but so a guy called Matt Sturgis from 4th Avenue Photography, great guy, and he's been busting my balls for like 6 years. Like, dude, you need to do fucking Google AdWords. I'm like, I'm too
you guys
busy.
are ranking. You're ranking pretty well, though. I think I found you on the first page.
Yeah, well, but that's been because we do that. We work at doing that. You know,
yeah. No, but I mean, like, you don't need Google Ads once you're like on the first page. That's like if you're like.
I'll get back to you on that. You know, ask me about that in 12 months' time.
Sure.
Yeah,
we will.
So we've spent,
we will.
Yeah. Ask me about that in 12 months' time. So we've spent the last 6 months. Okay, so, you know, ground zero for us was June 2022. We're like, oh shit, there's nothing in the pipeline. We fucked up. They're not doing another TV show. What are we gonna do? And so we've tried a bunch of stuff. So the first thing we reached out to an outfit that finds leads and works with you to build out an email cadence. And we did that for 6 months, and it was really expensive. And after 6 months, we still hadn't. We'd had interviews, but we hadn't you know, converted a single opportunity. It's just like, well, we can't do that anymore, you know. And then, so the Google Ads is like a lot cheaper, you know, but we've spent 6 months playing around with Google Ads, and we don't spend a lot of money on that. I mean, it's a couple of $100 a week. It's not a lot, but we're just playing with messaging and we've been doing it for 6 months, and literally I think for the first 3 months it's just like what words work, what words don't work.
Yeah, the keywords.
I feel like I know now we think our messaging is pretty good and we're getting people clicking on our website and that we can attribute to Google Ads. I think it's too early to say if that's going to work or not.
Have you
the big
gotten
one is
some
network.
good leads? Have you gotten some good leads coming through as of yet, or you're still waiting to kind of see if it's there?
We're still waiting. I think we're still waiting. And again, the best way I think is networking.
Do you ask your leads how they found you, like the search terms they used?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're finding out if they're
like,
okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's all a process. Again, back in the day, we didn't think to ask those kind of questions. Now it's very important to us, you know, to try and collect as much, but without your head exploding.
Thinking like a business owner now. That's why, and it's funny because you were mentioning how once you become a filmmaker, you start a business to be a filmmaker, but then now you're a business owner. That's what most people in our industry want to create videos, create content, but they start a business to do that, and without them expecting it, they become business owners, and then all of the whole dynamic shifts. And
the whole dynamic shifts, and all of a sudden, you know, again, the E-Myth, if you haven't read it, and you're starting out a business, it's an easy read, and especially if you're about to start a business, you should read that book, you know. And then what happens is, you know, you get busy and then you're doing the books, you're accounting, you're doing the sales, and it's just like, but I want to be a filmmaker, so
I find it's like 70-80% of the work we do now is running the business, and 20% is the actual creative and creation work.
Same here. Ian and I are always trying to strike that balance and figure that part out of it, because both of us just love making films. Whether it's, I gotta say, I mean, we'll do corporate videos, which like 3 or 4 of us, and we go do some interviews and shoot some B-roll, but like, it's still fun, we still dig it, I like, obviously, I like when we get to do wacky commercials, like we did these ones for the South Florida Fair, and we had like the fake superheroes, and it was just so much fun, and we did some for a HR company, and the gag was that the HR company, that they needed HR because they grew man-eating plants and all of their employees were getting eaten, and they let us run with that, and I was just like, oh my God, it was so much fun. And like, we had people in hazmat suits, and we took a bunch of Nerf guns and spray painted them gray, and just like, it was just like, that shit was just, that was cool, but anyway, June 22, Flywheel stop. We're like, oh crap, what are we gonna do? And we're just like, you know what, let's go back to our roots. Let's go back to corporate and commercial. And that's what we've done. And it's paying off. We've worked really hard to get the Flywheel back going. And our goal is still to make, commercially and critically successful movies, leveraging my background as a writer. So, sorry, I kicked the table again, said I wasn't going to do it.
All good.
So that's what we have 2 scripts right now sort of floating around, and we're kind of committed to the next long form narrative we do is probably going to be something that we wrote and that we raise the money for, so that we have the creative control.
Do you have are you preparing like a strategy for like avoiding the same type of situation you had where the Flywheel would stop if you start doing a narrative project?
Yeah, we're actually talking about that right now, because we've been so busy. My networking is almost completely fallen off. But at least I'm aware of it. The big step is now I'm aware of it, whereas I wasn't before. So yeah, we're very much looking at if we were to do that. And if we were to do it, I'd say in 12 to 18 months, I'm really hoping we're shooting our second feature film, and I think that's doable. It'd be a lower budget, I think, because we'll be raising the money, and but we're just so much more ahead of where we were. We can do it. I know we can do it.
How are you raising the money? Like, what sources are you using?
Well, so there are 2 strategies that have to go on. One is, how do we keep Braveman going while Ian and I are completely occupied on something else?
Yeah.
So we have an amazing creative producer called Alpida, and Alpida joined us about 3 years ago, I think, as a copywriter, and is now our creative producer. So Alpida is part of our KR team, has really helped us, taken some of the pressure off of Ian and myself. Our creative lead is actually wouldn't be me. I'm a creative director. Our creative lead is a woman called Veronica Delgado, and she's brilliant. And so our core team is starting to mature, and is sort of has a much higher skill set. And so we're sort of building on that and looking at how do we expand that team? Where's our next, where would our next hire be? and that's hard to say. But we've, there's definitely like 3 or 4 people that we know we'd love to bring onto the team to support us, and we'll see. I mean, that would be ideal. And there's like 2 or 3 people that I would love to bring on today. If we had the money, I'd bring them on today. But when we have the money, they'll get brought on. That takes the pressure off Ian and myself to, and it's working. I on Tuesday I have an art show. Okay, I started out as a mixed media artist, and Braveman has allowed me to I write. I'd be lying if I said I wrote every day, because I don't, but I should write every day. But I write a feature film script every 1.2 years.
Wow.
Nice.
And a lot of that's because I have Braveman, and Braveman allows me the flexibility and allows me the time to do that. And the guys are generously allowing me to spend the next, after this, I'm editing all day today, but tomorrow I'm taking the day off because I got to finish off my art project, and then Tuesday I'm having a show. Because I want to have a show, because my mind's always. But it'll be a great networking opportunity because we're inviting all of our clients, And again, I don't give a fuck if we get work out of it, but it is a networking event, and so, and I get to have fun, I'm paid. So that's cool, and so we're looking to get back to where we were sort of, 2019 was we had a great balance there. I was pretty much, my mornings were for me to work on my creative, and that's what we're looking at, seeing, hey, can we get back to where we were then? Can Ian and I spend our first 2-3 hours of the workday looking at how we're going to raise money for our next project? So right now we got 2 scripts. I think we've decided which script it's going to be. So the next, once this show finishes on Tuesday, I will go back in my spare time. I'll be doing a second draft, third draft. Ian and I are going to book some time off this quarter in the first 90 days to just probably do a day. It's off-site, probably won't be off-site, but where we like switch our phones off and lock ourselves in a room for the day and just like, what is our strategy?
Nice.
So we'll figure that out, figure out what our rough budget is, and then like, okay, how do we go about raising that kind of money, and then there are other things that you can do. So again, I still have a network. It's not as developed as this is my business, but because I was a writer in the UK, I still have contacts in the UK that when I used to write for the BBC. So there's a couple of scripts that are knocking around with old contacts there. And then once the script that I'm on right now is in a good enough shape, we'll send it out to like screenwriting competitions and screenwriting festivals and see if you can get a little bit of traction there. And then a little further down the line, we'll start reaching out to our network here. We have a few people that are producers, and we'll get some feedback and so yeah,
Nice.
Very
That's great. It's a very interesting career you've had, and like how it's like balancing narrative and creative work with the corporate and the business side, and knowing when to give the right amount of attention to one versus the other, and just sharing your learning experience from that is definitely a different take that we've had on the show, which is great to have you on. We also want to be respectful of your time. We know you said like an hour and a half, and we're kind of like around that range. So I guess like one of the last questions that we typically ask is, how did you come up with the name Braveman? Or why?
It's a great question. I'm cool for a little bit longer. I just I got a 3 o'clock, so don't if it goes a little longer, that's fine. Okay, I like to tell people that like the Beatles is a terrible name for a band. It's awful. The Beatles. It's terrible. Fucking awful. I'm from Liverpool, man. I'm just like, it's like a cheesy pun, but they're one of the it's terrible. It's spelled the Beatles. The Beatle. It's terrible, and yet they were one of the greatest bands that ever lived. The Rolling Stones. That's a great name. You know, that's an amazing name. So I don't actually think it matters. Yeah. What your name is, you know, the Beatles are living proof of that. But what happened was, I was realized that I didn't want to detail cars at the weekend, and that I needed to apply the skills that I had. So I started a company. So I knew I was going to do corporate. I had done some side work shooting weddings. I mean, a lot of us in this industry, you know, cut our teeth on weddings, and I must have shot 40 plus weddings, and then I edited probably 30 weddings, and 40 hours a week editing a wedding. You know, it's like, it's funny. I'll have friends now go, "Hey, we're getting married. You want to shoot?" I'm like, "Fuck no."
It's like, no, I'm good.
No, I'm good.
I'm good, fam.
You cool. I'll occasionally, I'll say, I'll shoot some photographs for you, but not on the wedding day, you know. So, but I looked at like, you know, I knew I just needed to make money so that I could support me as an artist. I was thought about shooting weddings to begin with, but I looked at the most successful wedding video guys down here, and it's like, there's only so many weddings you can shoot, and they're going to expect you to be the person that shoots it. So it's a finite resource, I felt. And then plus I just couldn't stand shooting weddings, you know. It's just like, still the hardest. Shooting weddings is harder than shooting is you know. When I was in New York as a grip, like I worked on a music video, sometimes like 20 hours for the day. And that was still easier than an 8-hour wedding. You know.
Oh, come on. It's not that bad.
No, dude, it is. It's just fine. They can never sit down. It's just
what do they do in Miami weddings?
Yeah,
like, what's the difference there? Like,
you know, I'd say what though, they were a lot of fun. That the Miami weddings would be a lot of fun. Everyone is like an amazing dancer. It's just like, what? It would be incredible, and everyone's gorgeous, you know, because it's Miami. But we don't shoot weddings. But anyway, so I start this company, and I'm like, I called it Blue Hour Films originally. It's still our taxes go through Blue Hour Films, because I was like, well, that's generic.
You kept it.
never changed it. I love it.
It's generic. It's generic. And then before Ian, me and this one other guy were working together, and guy called Tyler Ford, and Tyler's like, hey, we're gonna do this. I want to feel involved, and then I'm like, you know, you pick Blue Hour Films. I want a better name, and I'm like, I don't, yeah, whatever. So let's figure out a cool name. So we really liked. There's a production company in LA called Hungry Man.
Okay.
Hungry Man Films. Do you know Hungry Man?
I don't, but I'll see.
Yeah, look them up.
Do they do food?
No, they do.
They
like
don't do
Super
food.
Bowl. No, they do Super Bowl commercials. I mean,
Oh,
they do.
okay.
I think they did. I want to say Hungry Man did the Miller Lite commercials for the last Super Bowl. But like, they're amazing. They're next level, you know. So we're like, well, that's cool. Something Man, you know, what would be Man? And we just like spent like 2 weeks just like, you know, just like throwing out ideas, and we thought something with man in it would be cool. Something man, because we liked Hungry Man. That was the only reason was that. And then Braveman. Well, that sounds cool. So we're like, okay, let's do Braveman. And that was it. You know, it sounded kind of cool. and then so it stuck. Tyler went off to do other things, and Ian joined me. By then we were Braveman, and it was really just because it sounded like a cool name. But it's funny. I don't know. Do you guys have what do you call it? Do you have core values?
No.
For the business?
No,
No, we
do.
What do you mean, Dario?
Yeah.
We have core
We're on the
values.
website.
Yeah, we have it on. Yeah, we do. He hasn't been to the about page for a while.
Okay.
Yeah. So you were saying?
So, as a company, we have core values, and one of our core values is brave, that we take risks, that we think outside of the box. And so we kind of sort of ended up, I think, like fitting into our name. And as you can see here, like our logo is pink because I didn't want it to, it's brave man, it felt masculine. So all of our logos are pink to sort of to appreciate, and half of our team are women, it's just like sort of feminize it a little bit,
Why don't you change it to brave women?
Yeah,
Mostly
it's
women.
just longer. It just doesn't fit on the t-shirt.
It's just too. Yeah, he has to add like 3 more letters. It's gonna be going to his armpit at that point.
Exactly. So, so that's where the name came from. But I think
Nice.
you can have a name, keep it short so it fits on it. It fits on a shirt. Exactly, fits on a shirt, and people can Google you really quickly.
We're in the process of getting some merch for our business now, which is long overdue.
You got mugs. I heard mug. You guys just keep talking about mugs. Is that what you're gonna get?
Oh my god, the mugs.
Yeah, we need to.
I still have like a
mugs.
box. I have a box of mugs.
Yeah, we have a box
sick.
of Laps mugs, but we need to get Creatives Grab Coffee mugs. So we actually. I mean, right now I have. Right now I'm just using a different mug.
Okay.
So yeah.
We're getting caps. We're in the process of getting caps right now. Oh my god, they're crazy expensive. I think it's gonna cost us like $650 per design. So we gotta get 2 designs. So we're looking at like
No,
$1,200.
it's 500 per design.
Is it?
Yeah. It's
Why you
just
Okay, well, it's
I'm-
500 for 12 hats is a lot of money. Okay, that's all I'm trying
it
to
is,
say. Like,
yeah.
it's a lot of money.
Okay, so my thinking as a businessman, why are you doing 2 designs? Why don't you just do 1 design? And
Oh,
keep
we
the
have.
cost down?
Well, we have
Oh,
the
two different-
podcast and the
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only reason why. Otherwise, we were.
Trust me, it was
otherwise
not
we're
out
just
of
gonna
like.
standardize.
Yeah, it wasn't because we love hats that we wanted to
Yeah.
get.
Well, technically, I do. I have probably the bigger.
I love
hat
hats
collection.
too, but not. I wouldn't spend $1,000 on hats unless it was absolutely necessary.
Yeah, we have. This is actually this is a friend of mine. He has a cookie company in New York City, Nanny's Dough. So this was his hat because
Nice.
before we came on, I was saying the only hat I could find was my beater hat with the Florida sweat stains. I'm like, no, I'm gonna put on a nice hat. We have cool baseball caps, but they were really expensive.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But
I
you
feel
have
your
to.
pain.
You can't cheap out on it at the same time, because when you cheap out, then you're not gonna like it. They're gonna break apart over time. Like I remember early on, we got Laps T-shirts years back, and that thing faded away so quickly over time that we were just like, oh, okay, we're gonna avoid shirts for now. But yeah, like Dario and I finally settled on a hat brand that we like, and we're like, okay,
Cool.
perfect. Let's just get our logo printed on it and then call it a day. It's actually this one right here, 47. That is our favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. They're good hats. Yeah, for sure.
We're gonna get shirts too. Like we recently
Eventually,
learned
yeah.
that. No, well, what we found out is that they do direct to garment printing, so you can actually find a company and give them your shirts, and they'll just print directly on the shirts. And Kirill, I was reading that it doesn't wash away as easily as it did with the that first batch we did. But the cool thing is that at least we can provide like the shirts, because I hate the ones that they usually offer. It's always like Gildan or something low quality, and it
Classic Gildan.
I don't like how it feels. It's too rough,
Yeah. No, we did a big print run of T-shirts. This is we did like the same logo but like different shirts, and then we have this is the PC one, but then all our crew wanted one. We have ones where it says "We're fucking awesome."
I like
Nice.
with an asterisk over the U.
Yeah.
But and we were like, it's really funny actually. We meant to do just a small batch of those, you know, and then do general ones, and the t-shirt company got the order wrong, so like 75% of the t-shirts said we're fucking awesome, but all of our crews just want that one, and like a lot of our clients want that one too, so
Nice.
but occasionally, like, I volunteer at an after-school program for underprivileged kids here in Delray, and occasionally, like, Ian will come with me, and when we do something like that, I'm like, wear the nice t-shirt. These are 12-year-old kids. So we gotta make sure we've got the PC t-shirts on, you know.
Yeah. No, that's great. Oh, funny enough, then when you get into the class, then you pull out, hey guys, this is the underground shirt that I'm going to be wearing now.
Mom, I'm trying to be a good influence.
They don't want good influences, these kids these days. You know, they want the edgy companies and business owners. Like, yeah, let's do that. You know. But yeah. Before we kind of sign off, was there anything that you wanted to ask us, even or touch base on as a topic before we head off?
Yeah, I mean, I thanks for giving me the platform, and I appreciate I did most of the talking. I would, you know, what's next for you guys? Well, actually, it's a question I ask a lot of people, and it is. Where would you like to be in 10 years' time from now?
Yeah, that's a
Somewhere
tough
warm.
one.
Somewhere warm.
Yeah, Dario's biggest is somewhere warm. We get some pretty crazy
we always
winters
need
here.
shooters down here, bro.
I wouldn't mind moving to the U.S., to be honest with you. I would love
It's
for
an
us
idea
to,
we floated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open up an office down there. Maybe in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Even. Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, we do see ourselves expanding the business and growing the core team, because right now it's just been Dario and I as the core team for many, many years. And it can get exhausting wearing many different hats. You know, I mean, we have to order different hats for every job now at this point, right? So for the CGC platform, for the Labs business. And, you know, and like you said, like you've brought on people that have been able to make your lives easier and help make the business run a lot smoother, and sometimes bringing in other people can bring in ideas that you probably never would have been able to think of. So that is what we do want to end up
Probably in the next
for.
5 years, we'll probably be at that stage.
Yeah.
Like our main thing is we definitely want to remain skeletal so we can scale up and down easily.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, I remember listening to you guys talking about, like, was it another outfit where they'd expanded and then had to let everyone go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're trying to avoid situations like that, especially because in our business, and I mean video production in general, especially on the corporate end, nothing is ever guaranteed for the year.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's like our biggest fear almost, is like, okay, like we had a good year last year and, you know, we have a good couple months coming up, but what about after that? Nothing's ever like set in stone. That's the thing I really don't like about it.
We're afraid of the flywheel stopping. That's the thing, you know. You can't rely on a flywheel to build a massive business, you know.
And there's always like random circumstances that affect that too. Like last year was the economy just tanked hard, and like, you know, everyone was getting affected by that.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I guess it's that. Expansion into the U.S. would definitely be one of our goals in the next 5 to 10 years. But again, like we'd still want to be like a smaller company. I think we were even Kirill and I were going through the numbers, and I was like, you know what? We could hit like we don't need to be like a $10 million company and have all those headaches. We could be like a tenth of that, and like we'd still be fine. On the personal end, we'd be pulling some pretty big salaries, and like the stresses wouldn't be that high. Like,
it's so interesting you should say that. We after we did the first feature film, you know, we took everything that we learned, and we doubled revenue in like a year and a half. So we doubled revenue because we doubled the amount of work we were doing. but like Ian and I still like made the same salary. It was just like,
Yeah.
but now we're working longer hours.
Yeah.
And you know, in the organization, Ian's still in. I stepped out. I've been in for 7 years. So EO, which is a great organization. You know, they talk about this. Do you want to be, you know, you want to be $1 million company where you've got a 30%, you know, margin, or do you want to be a $10 million company with a 3% margin? You know,
Yeah.
you're making the same money. You know, do you guys know this one? Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
I always just heard of the last bit, cash is king. I didn't know there were other
Cash
two
is
bits.
king. Well, cash is king means
Revenue.
Okay, so
Revenue is what, sorry?
vanity. It's just
Vanity, okay.
Revenue is
Yeah.
vanity.
Yeah.
Profit is sanity. Cash is
Yes.
king. Revenue
Yeah, I
is
like that.
bullshit. Yeah, it's like I do it. You're just like, oh yeah, but what's your profit margin?
Costs,
What's your net?
What's your cost?
You know,
That's what they always do in the Shark Tank. You know, whenever people were saying like, "Oh, what were your sales last year?" It's like, "Oh yeah, we made like 20 million in sales." Like, what was your profit? Like
$10.
It's like what? Yeah, because it's like, think of it. Like, would you rather have a business with, like, you pretty much nailed it on the head, Damien, is that if you get like $150,000 in revenue, but 50,000 is profit, versus 550,000 in revenue, but again, still 50,000 as profit. It's like you're doing a hell of a lot more work and a lot more stress for the same money. So like when you're scaling, there has to be a relative like growth in that sense as well.
yeah. So I'll if it's cool, I'll just touch on a couple of those before we go.
Yeah, go
ahead. Profit is sanity. You know, profit is about your business. So when we bid on a job, we look at what we have a profit margin, and if we can't make our profit margin, we don't take the job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we are now probably just as concerned about what our profit margin is as we are about how much work we've got coming in, you know. So we really, and again, we pride ourselves on giving our clients like just the best product they're ever gonna get, you know. But we're a business; we need to make money too. So it becomes
just
vitally
a numbers
important.
game.
Yeah, and then cash is king means that like you need companies need cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, you need operating cash on hand, and you know, suddenly like you get a brilliant opportunity, but maybe you need to buy a new piece of equipment, or you need to hire an expert, and the expert's like, well, I don't know you guys, so you got to pay me up front, and if you don't have the cash on hand to do that, you know, then you're in trouble, you know.
Yeah, you should never be struggling for cash to the point where you have to figure out a way to supplement that. Like I've seen other people in our industry who sometimes their cash flow has gotten so low to the point where they've had to take out some loans, which I think is wild to try to maintain your cash flow. It's like that should be purely for emergency, not for day to day.
You're doing something wrong if you got to that point. That's what I think. Especially if you're like a smaller company too. Like I can understand with like bigger companies, you might need it. Maybe you have like a big staff, and you can't just tell your staff, I can't pay your salary this month, that the whole thing's gonna collapse, right? So
yeah, like if you're a smaller business and you're at that stage, it's good to just revisit your process and see how you can improve it so that you don't have to do that, because then unfortunately you get on the hook, then you're also losing money paying for interest that you didn't need to do.
Exactly. We I mean, this the stuff we look at all the time.
And also for loans for small businesses, banks are so stingy. So if you're getting a big loan, it's on your personal end. The bank's not giving you that loan. Like for ours, like, oh my God, even for our credit cards, like our business credit cards, they're so stingy with our credit limits. It's shocking. Like on our personal end, it's like 10 times higher. It's like, what the hell's going on here?
No,
I was telling Dario that I was thinking is because, you know, they look at businesses as, you know, they're not real people, so they don't want to give too much freedom to them, you know, like, because technically a business or a corporation is an individual. What happens if that individual just tanks? You know, they disappear. Whereas an actual person, they give more credit because that person's real. That'll chase them. I don't know if that's the reason, but
well, I call BS on that, because a person can always claim, even like a real person can claim bankruptcy and get out of it. But I mean, like, look, there'll be people selling credit cards, giving random people at a gas station a $5,000 credit limit. Yeah, we had to fight tooth and nail, and they barely gave us somewhere close. It's like, what? Like, but yet, here's the funny thing. Like our economy is mostly like run by small businesses. Yet, like the banks hate them. They're like so like rough on us.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's totally true. But we've you know, touch wood, have never had to take a loan. Well, but that's not exactly true. I've loaned the business money when we've been in a pinch.
But that's different. That's different.
That's different.
That's
but
you
it's
putting your own
money.
Yeah, like everyone has to do that. Like in the beginning, that's what we had to do. Like,
yeah.
Requiring resources. Like you're not necessarily just loaning out, but like you're investing in your business so that it stays afloat. That's what you have to do early on. You can't start a business without your own capital. It doesn't just magically appear.
But the big one for us has definitely been like, you know, we have a process for everything. We have a strategy for everything. You know, that's why I asked you about where do you want to be in 10 years. I would, and then I'm sharing, not giving advice. And my share is that I have been more successful personally and as a business when I have planned out where I want to be, you know. So we have a 1-year plan, we have a 3-year plan, we have a 5-year plan, we have a 10-year plan. And we spend time talking about it. And it's like, okay, well, this is where we want to be in 10 years. Where do we need to be in 5 years? This is where we need to be in 5 years. Where do we need to be in 3 years, you know?
We should do that, Kirill. We normally do it every January, but we kind of didn't this year.
Well, this year you were gone on vacation at the beginning when we usually do that. So
that's true.
So I would recommend, what's his name? There's a guy, he's written a book called Vivid Vision. It's a small book. But he has a TED Talk. So if you look up TED Talk, Vivid Vision, it's a 15-minute TED Talk. And he explains, he does it.
Cameron
short,
Harold?
Yeah, Cameron Harold.
Okay.
So I'll highly recommend you listen. If you're going to plan out your strategy, go just listen to that. It's 15 minutes of your time. And it'll give you an idea of one way. It's not the only way, of one way of how you write that out, you know. But like, I mean, my 10-year plan, it's like, I talk about where I am, you know. What am I, you know, everything. How am I feeling? Where am I? What am I doing? What does my personal life look? Everything, you know. And it's a goal, you know. But if you haven't set that goal, you know, that's why, like, okay, you guys want to expand into the US. Well, how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
You know. What are the steps that you're putting in place to do that? I think probably, maybe unconsciously or consciously, one of the steps you're doing is what you're doing in this podcast, and getting a feel for what that would look like if you were in the US, and interviewing, you know, companies that are here in the US, you know. So, but yeah, you know, I think you guys have got a really great head start, you know. Right from the get-go, you guys have treated this like a business. It took me like 7 years to figure.
Oh no! It wasn't right from the get-go. Let me tell you that. Damien, it was
I wish.
we up until the pandemic, and we talked about this in our early episodes of the podcast, is about how it was like we were just two freelancers working together up until that point, and when the pandemic hit, it all fell apart. So what we realized we had to do, and actually we learned it by starting this podcast, was, damn, we've been doing everything wrong. Tear down the foundation, and we basically restarted the business in 2021. That's essentially it. So this is technically year 4 technically
Okay,
speaking.
cool. That's awesome.
Well, we've learned like no, we're not messiahs in the business world. Okay.
Far from it.
Yeah, but anyways, look, we'll let you go because we know you have a meeting in a couple minutes, Damien. But thanks for jumping on. Honestly, this has been such a great chat, and thank you for being our first guest of 2024.
Hey, it's an absolute pleasure. I love what you guys are doing. I really respect and admire the energy that you're putting into this. Dario, I really appreciate you for reaching out to me.
Thank you.
Putting up with me, like cancelling on me like a bunch of times. I'm so sorry.
Well, now we know why.
Yeah,
Busy man, busy
shows
man.
you're filming.
Yeah. So, but you guys rock. Keep it up. And,
You too, man.
And definitely, I love now that there's a resource that I can reach out to if we've got stuff in Toronto or wherever in Canada, you know. So, and let's stay in touch. You know,
For sure, man. Yeah,
And,
even in other parts of the States, if you need, like we've had a few guests in Seattle, North Carolina, Boston. So,
cool. Yeah.
there's
I was actually talking to my team about that. I'm like, hey, we've got these guys a genius. So like, so absolutely, yeah, it's good. It's good to know.
Okay,
Awesome.
so before we end off, guys, if you want to find Damien, he's at braveman.media. So not bravemanmedia.com, it's braveman.media. And he's based in Florida, and you said in Delray, correct?
In Delray, yeah. It was South Florida. So Miami, you know.
Oh, okay. And which parts do you like service? Because I know on your website you actually had a couple
I saw New
other
York
cities as well.
So
Yeah.
we are based in South Florida. Yeah, we shoot all over the United States.
right.
Ah, got it. Okay, so
Cool.
guys, if you need him for shoots outside of South Florida as well, he's good for it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks, Damien.
All right.
Thank you.
You guys rock. Take it easy.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Creatives Grab Coffee. Please make sure to follow and engage with us on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, and your favorite podcast app.
Creatives Grab Coffee is created by Labs Productions, a video production company based in Toronto, Canada.
Creatives Grab Coffee is also sponsored by
My name is Miran. Welcome to Canada Film Equipment. We are a boutique rental house based in Toronto. We are here to help you guys out with all production sizes. Feel free to contact us to get a quote if you are a production house and you're looking for lighting, camera packages, or lighting and group band packages. You can see our contact information in the link below. We are more than happy to help you guys out. Make sure you follow and subscribe to creativesgrabcoffee.com. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Matt. Welcome to Audio Process. We are a boutique audio company doing location sound, sound design, post-sound, ADR, Foley. We service equipment. We do all your audio needs here in Toronto. We got you covered. Come on down, audioprocess.ca. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and all of the other internet things to creativesgrabcoffee.com. They'll be waiting for you. I'll be waiting for you, and we're all gonna have a real good time.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.